Imagine a world without war. A distant dream? Or a reality shaped by the very inventions we create? From the stick to the atomic bomb, each technological advance not only changed the way we live, but also redefined the meaning of peace and war. Welcome to the 70,000-year-old secret of humanity. In the previous episode, we explored the puzzle pieces of modern society. Today, we will delve into the aspect that has perhaps most shaped our history: how inventions have constantly changed the nature of war and peace. Are the tools we create for survival and progress also the tools that push us to the brink of destruction? Or are they the key to a lasting peace? To answer this question, we need to journey through time, from the dawn of humanity to the modern era, to witness how each step of technological advancement has rewritten the script of conflict and cooperation. Let's go back in time, tens of thousands of years ago, when Homo sapiens were still nomadic hunter-gatherers. Our first inventions were not weapons of mass destruction, but primitive tools for survival: pointed stones, sticks, and later arrows and bows. Initially, they were used for hunting to defend against wild animals, but very quickly they became tools to resolve conflicts between groups of people. Imagine the scene: two tribes meeting to fight over water, a good hunting ground. There were no laws, no courts, only strength and ingenuity in using tools. A stone thrown to the head, a spear piercing the heart. That was the nature of prehistoric warfare. Small scale, personal, but brutal. Each death could greatly affect the existence of a small group, even threaten the survival of the entire tribe. These inventions, as simple as they were the beginning of a long series of technological revolutions in warfare that shaped the nature of violence and conflict as we know it today. They show that from the beginning, human creativity has been a double-edged sword, one side to build, the other to destroy. The first major turning point in the relationship between invention, war, and peace came with the agricultural revolution, about 12,000 years ago. When humans abandoned their nomadic lifestyle for settled, arable land and herding animals, everything changed. Suddenly, we had something to defend: land, crops, livestock, and most importantly, surplus food. Surplus food not only fed more people, but also allowed some people to dispense with direct production labor, creating specialists, including warriors. This specialization increased the effectiveness of fighting in military organization. With the emergence of villages, towns, and then cities, warfare ceased to be a small skirmish. It became organized warfare with clear objectives: the plunder of property, the control of fertile land, or the capture of slaves. Inventions evolved as well. Instead of sticks and stones, there were stone axes, bronze knives, swords, and shields made of leather or wood. Defensive structures, such as palisades, moats, and walls, began to appear, turning every settlement into a potential fortress. The agricultural revolution, while bringing stability in food and population, created a new dynamic for conflict. It made property a reason to fight, and accumulation a goal of war. Peace, in this context, was often a temporary state between conflicts, or a calm imposed by a superior power, forced rather than voluntary. As agricultural societies developed into vast kingdoms and empires, the scale of warfare increased to unprecedented levels. This was the age of the invention of metals: bronze, then iron. The mining and processing of metals brought about a quantum leap in military power. Metal weapons and armor were not only more durable, but also much sharper and more effective than stone or wooden tools. The war chariots of Egypt and Mesopotamia, the Babylonian archers with their long and accurate shots, and the Roman legionaries with their gladius short swords and scutum shields, all testified to the sophistication of military technology. Control of ore deposits and metallurgical know-how became a crucial strategic advantage. But not only weapons, but also organizational and logistical innovations played a key role in building and maintaining empires. The Romans were not only fierce warriors, but also ingenious engineers who built roads, bridges, and water systems, inventions that allowed them to move armies and supplies on a massive, unprecedented scale. Inventions in engineering, such as windmills, irrigation systems, and brickmaking, indirectly aided war by increasing food production, freeing up manpower and resources for military purposes. Warfare became a national enterprise with professional armies, complex strategies, and the goal not just of survival, but of expanding territory, controlling resources, and dominating other peoples. Peace under empire was often an imposed peace, the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, being a prime example, where violence was controlled by a central power but could also be disrupted by revolts or collapse from within. Around the 9th century in China, a chance invention changed the face of warfare forever: gunpowder. Although initially used to create fireworks during festivals, its destructive potential was soon realized. But it wasn't until gunpowder spread to Europe in the late Middle Ages that it truly revolutionized warfare and became a powerful force shaping global geopolitics. Cannons, muskets, rifles, these inventions transformed the battlefield into a deadlier place than ever before. The fortified walls of medieval castles, once a symbol of invulnerability, could now be breached by heavy artillery. The elite cavalry with their bulky armor, once the backbone of armies, gradually lost their superiority to infantry armed with guns. The gunpowder revolution also required a major change in social organization. The production of gunpowder and weapons required enormous resources and complex technology. Only states with the financial and administrative capacity could sustain armies armed with guns. This led to the consolidation of power of centralized states and ushered in an era of larger, bloodier, and more decisive wars. The development of artillery-armed navies also expanded control of the seas, leading to maritime empires and a global colonial race. Peace, in this context, becomes more precious, but also more difficult to achieve as the great powers constantly seek to improve their weapons. Peace treaties are often only temporary, waiting for the next generation of weapons to appear, pushing the world into an endless cycle of military innovation. As the 18th and 19th centuries progressed, the Industrial Revolution accelerated the pace of military technology, bringing about unprecedented changes in human history. The invention of the steam engine, the textile mill, and later mass production transformed war from a manual conflict into a full-scale industrial conflict. Factories not only produced consumer goods, but also became the backbone of the military industry, allowing weapons and ammunition to be produced in enormous quantities and at an astonishing speed. Weapons became more accurate, more powerful, and easier to mass produce. The breech-loading rifle was replaced by the box-loading rifle, and then the machine gun, a terrifying invention capable of inflicting mass casualties in the blink of an eye. New explosives, such as TNT, along with improved artillery, transformed the battlefield into a veritable slaughterhouse. Other inventions had a profound impact on warfare beyond weapons. Railroads allowed troops and supplies to move quickly over long distances, changing logistics forever.
The telegraph and telephone improved communication and command, allowing troops to be controlled over a larger area than ever before. Armored warships, submarines, and eventually aircraft expanded the battlefield to all dimensions: land, sea, and air, turning the Earth into a battlefield of limitless potential. Total war, as we saw in World War I and World War II, was a direct result of the Industrial Revolution. A nation's entire economy and society were mobilized for the war effort. Millions of non-soldiers became part of the war machine, from factory workers to scientists researching new weapons. The death toll was in the tens of millions, and the devastation was unimaginable, leaving deep scars on human history. In this era, the goal of war was sometimes not just to defeat the enemy army, but to completely destroy a nation's ability to resist, from its industrial infrastructure to the morale of its people.